This should be a really super session. We're excited that you decided to join us today. You will be getting a copy of the slides and a link to the recording, so you can sit back and enjoy the presentation. I am going to, my name is Anita Kayat, by the way. I am a SCORE mentor, and I'm going to give you a little commercial about SCORE before we get started with the really exciting presentation. So SCORE is a national organization. Our mission is to foster vibrant small business communities, and we do this through mentoring and education. We hope that we will be able to provide each of you as a small business owner all of the resources that you need to get your business up and running or keep it going. We know that small businesses really do drive the national economy. And as you probably have noticed over the last few years, Cleveland has revitalized, and it's been mostly because of you, the small business owners, that have made it really come back to life. And so we're excited to be part of that. We are all volunteers. We are the largest network of volunteer small business mentors in the country. There are over 250 chapters all across the country. Our mentors come from just about every career and experience and expertise that you can think of. So if you have an odd type of business, if someone here in our chapter can't help you, we have access to our database of the other 999,000 people, and one of them is bound to be able to help you. So we have all types of entrepreneurs who join us in their quest to become business owners. About 10% are veterans, and I'm happy to report that over 50% of our clients are women, and that's really exciting. So the things that we offer you are mentoring, this usually one-on-one, sometimes it's two-on-one if we have extra experience that's needed. Mostly we're doing it remotely. And we also do webinars and other types of training. But one of our best resources is our website. And I encourage you to go there and take a look at it and see what all is available. Here's just a little rundown of some of the things that we've accomplished in the last year. Note that we cover 7 counties along the lake, from Cuyahoga to Erie County. We have a code of ethics, which means that we will not divulge any of the information that you give us to anyone else. We also will not take advantage of your ideas to capitalize on them. And all of your information will be confidential. Our services are free, mostly because we get some funding from the Small Business Administration, but we also get support from many of the businesses in the Cleveland area who want to support small businesses by helping us help you. This is our website. If you go there, you can see, you can click on Find a Mentor, take a workshop. There are both live workshops and recorded workshops. We are now live streaming all of our workshops to our YouTube channel and then making them available on our website. So if you don't have time to come to a webinar, you can browse at your leisure and pick the ones that you want to listen to. And so that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stop here and let Jessica take over. And Jessica, you might want to tell them a little bit about yourself before you get started.
Yeah, I have just a couple slides in info about myself. So, hey everybody, I'm Jessica, and I want to welcome you to Website Planning 101. Thanks so much for registering and for being here today. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to go over why planning is so important, and we'll cover some common pitfalls to avoid. We're going to talk about what we call a minimum viable launch, and then we'll get into the 4 main steps for planning your website. And finally, we'll review how to choose the right website platform or provider. And at the end, we'll have time for questions. Feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A as they come to you. I will stop periodically to answer a couple, and then we'll try to finish up at the end addressing the rest of them. So I'm your host today, and just a little bit of my background. I am co-founder at Cardsetter. We've helped hundreds of website owners take their visions online with our easy-to-use website platform and service. Prior to Cardsetter, I owned my own online business. It was called Billings365.com. And that was a website for events and things to do in Billings, Montana. In that business, I had hired someone to build my first website for me. So I do understand what it's like to be on the client side of the website building process. I also spent 3 years in a website development agency where we did WordPress websites for small businesses. So I've really been on all sides of websites. I've been a small business owner, operating a business off of their website, going through the process of having someone build it for me, then later got involved in building other people's. And now at Cardsetter, we're powering websites with our own website software. Okay, so first, why is planning your website so important? So whether you decide to build your website yourself or you decide to work with a professional, planning ahead will help you gain clarity on what you and your customers actually need from your website. It's going to help you prioritize, what is most important for your business and for your website. It'll help you make better choices for your specific needs. It will actually save you time and money, and it will streamline the entire process so you can actually launch your website faster. So that brings us to a few pitfalls to avoid. So the first one is, focusing too much on the design before making a website plan. So it's really easy to kind of put the cart before the horse in this area because it's the exciting part, right? Like thinking about what it's going to look like and how your brand is going to be represented online. What the visual representation is going to be is exciting. So, you might start checking out other people's designs or different themes and templates before you know what your website needs to do or what assets you have available to make that design happen. However, when we're looking at templates, a lot of times they're going to have professional photos in the design. Those photos are all going to have a similar color palette. A lot of times the photos are making the template look amazing. And if you don't have the same type of photography to go in the template, the design just is not going to look as good. And similarly, templates or other designs are going to have specific places for headlines and text, but you don't know what your website needs to say or how much text you have yet, right? You want to design your website around your needs, around the information that you need to convey to your target audience, and around the visual assets that you specifically have available, not try to force your business into a specific design or template. Choosing a platform before making a plan is also a mistake because if you plan first, you're going to have a much better framework for matching your specific needs to the platform with the features that will work best for you. I know this is sometimes an easy place to start. You might start asking around, like, what do you think I should use to build my website? You're going to get just a whole host of different opinions from different people who have a preference for these different platforms. But that's because the platform that they chose suits their needs and their preferences, right? Instead of, going off of other people's opinions, you want to find the one that's going to suit your specific needs instead. And the best way to do that is to make a plan first. If you plan to work with a professional, a freelancer, or a web design agency, choosing that provider before making a plan is also a mistake, because if you make a plan first, you can enter those initial conversations with your very specific requirements. And that means that you're going to get a better estimate from the professional, and your project is likely to cost less and move along much quicker because you're giving them all of the details up front. So from my time in the WordPress agency where I worked, most of the delay and cost of a website came from what I would call discovery and collecting information. So trying to identify what the website needs, trying to collect all the information to fill out the website, trying to collect logins and passwords for other accounts that needed to be integrated with the website. If you can compile all of that ahead of time, it's going to make the project move along much more seamlessly. And when you save time in these projects, you save money. Okay, so now that we know why planning is important and what pitfalls we want to avoid, I want to talk about what we call a minimum viable launch. So in working with hundreds of business owners on their websites, I've seen many projects just completely stall out because the business owner will get stuck on a specific page or section of content that they want on their website, or a certain feature they want to implement, but they don't quite have everything in place to provide that content or implement that feature. So just as an example, maybe you envision having a services page and you want to have your service packages perfectly lined out. You want to provide pricing and let people book those services online. But maybe your business is kind of new, so you don't quite have your packages lined out yet, and you're not quite sure how to hook payments up to your website. So in the meantime, a minimum viable launch approach would be to get your services page up, include a broad overview of your expertise and the services that you offer, and then maybe you include a form on the page so that those who are interested in working with you can request an initial consultation. So you want to try to avoid, these kinds of hangups by focusing on your minimum viable launch point. So what is the minimum level of content and functionality that you really must have to launch your website with? You want to take on the mindset that your website is always going to be a work in progress. It's going to, change and adapt as you have new information available or as your business's needs change. So in our example, once that business starts working with customers in person, it might become more clear what they want to include in those packages. It gives them a little time to figure out how they want to implement payments on their website. But it allows them to get up online and operating without being stuck in this, limbo for potentially weeks or months on end, trying to figure these things out. And so the point of planning is not to plan to some perfect point or help you launch the most perfect website to start with. It's to get you at a good point so you have a good base for your website, and then you can grow and improve your website over time. Okay, so we're going to get into planning your website, and the next section is going to go through the 4 main steps to planning your site. We do have a free website planning workbook that's going to guide you through the process from start to finish. I actually have a link that I can provide specific to SCORE. I don't see that I can chat to everyone, so would you be able to share that link with the group?
Yes, I'll redo it and
Okay.
everybody. Yeah.
Okay, so the links provided there, when you complete your website plan, you'll be better equipped to choose the right website platform, the right design templates and actually create your website faster. Or, if you're going to work with a pro, you'll have a comprehensive plan that you can hand over to them, ensuring a smooth website building project. Okay, so planning. The first thing you want to do in planning your website is outline your feature needs, and also kind of take an inventory of any online technology that you're already using or that you plan to use in your business. So a good approach is to think about what you want your website to do. For example, if you're going to publish content, then you'll need a blog feature. If you plan to sell products or services, then you're going to need e-commerce functionality. To book appointments, you're going to need a booking system, right? So we want to get a good picture of all the things that your website needs to do. Now, your website doesn't need to do all of these things. Don't look at the list and think, I got to be able to do everything that's on this list. You really want to think about what's most essential, because you don't want to, have too many things going on where you're going to confuse your website visitors on what action you want them to take. But try to identify what's most important. Now, for some of these features, you would actually use a third-party integration with your website. So this is where, taking an inventory of any technology you're already using or plan to use comes in. So just as an example, to book appointments, you might want to use a tool like Calendly, and simply integrate that Calendly link with your website to handle the appointment booking. If you're already using Square, for instance, to take payments in person, then you might want your website to also use Square as your payment processor. You might be using a contact management piece of software, like HoneyBook is one that does invoicing and project management. And they have integrations that you can use with your website. So you can integrate a contact form from HoneyBook and put it on your website. And that way all the inquiries go into your contact management system after they fill that out on your website. So those are instances where, if I'm building someone's website for them, I really want to know, like, are there some tools that you plan to use for your business? Because there might be ways to tie the two together and simplify some of your workflows by having your website integrated with some of these tools. Having all of those technical details in one place makes it much easier to understand what services you already have, and what else you might need to sign up for to power your website. And again, if you work with someone else, this is incredibly helpful for them as they build out your site. And if you don't know, of any tools that you plan to use, don't worry about that. If you are working with someone else and you tell them, like, I know I'm going to need appointment booking, I know I'm going to sell products and services, they will offer some recommendations of how to make that happen on your website. Okay, so while we're in this section, I do want to talk about your domain for a second. So your domain is your .com, .net, whatever you register for your website address. So we highly recommend that you register your own domain for your website. So you can do that at Google Domains, GoDaddy. There's plenty of others to choose from, but these are like primarily domain registrar accounts, right? My personal favorite is Google. So if you were looking for a recommendation, that's the one I would recommend. But registering your domain on your own ensures that you always have access to your domain and that you are the official owner of it. So if you decide to use a website builder, something like Squarespace or Wix, a lot of times, they'll have a way when you're setting up your website to also register your domain, but it's much more straightforward if you register it someplace like GoDaddy or Google. So that if you get into building your website and you find that you don't like the tool you signed up with, you don't want to have your domain like tangled up in that website builder account if you want to cancel that website builder account. And there could also, you might stick with that website builder for a while, but later down the road, there might be a reason you want to switch to a different platform. And it can just be really cumbersome to untangle your domain from your website builder. And it's just much easier if it's registered separately at a domain registrar, because then you can cancel whatever website builder or platform you're using and simply point the domain to the new website when you're ready. So it just gives you a lot more future flexibility and a lot less headache down the line. And then if you work with a freelancer or agency, a lot of times these folks will offer to do this for you. But I still recommend that you do this yourself, because if they register your domain for you, they are most likely going to register it in their own domain account. And sadly, we've seen many business owners have trouble getting access to their domain when their previous provider stops returning phone calls or emails after that relationship goes south. And you wouldn't think that professionals would act this way, but I can assure you it happens more often than you would think. We literally have a customer going through this right now. She was with a company for a number of years, and when she signed up with them, they convinced her to give them access to her domain that she had previously had registered in her own GoDaddy account. They said, "Oh, we'll move your domain over to ours, then we'll manage it for you." So she trusted them and did that, and now she's trying to move her website, and they're claiming that they don't have her domain, and she knows that they do. They have it privately registered, so you can't see it on the public records, and she's really having an impossible time getting access to her domain. And she's been using that domain to market her business for years. And I just see it happen all the time. So that's my PSA for the day, that I spent way too much time explaining, but it's just very important. Okay, so second step is you're compiling your business information. So here we want to talk, or we want to think about who our customer is and how we're going to communicate the value of our business to them. So to do that, we're going to define our ideal customer, write a key benefit statement, decide on a primary call to action, and describe our business for the ideal customer that we've identified. So first, let's think about your ideal customer. So who is most likely to resonate with your products and services? So to help me think about this person, I like to use this fill in the blank statement. It says, as a type of person, I want some goal so that some reason. So you would complete that from the perspective of your ideal customer. So a financial planner might say something like, as a busy 30-something, I want to invest in my future so that I can retire with a home on the lake. So when we describe who our customer is and what their desires are as it kind of pertains to our business or what we do, it helps us design the website and the text that we're going to put on the website, the images that we're going to put on the website, around the needs and preferences of our ideal customer, right? I know a lot of times it's really easy to think like, my website is for me, it is to reflect me and my brand, but really your website is for your ideal customer. It's for your target audience. It is to resonate with them. So we really want to put them at the center of the choices that we make on that website. So after that, you want to write your key benefit statement. So why is your business the best choice for your ideal customer? For our financial planner, the key benefit statement might be something like, Lee Humphrey takes the overwhelm out of financial planning. He'll help you take simple steps to achieve your big dreams, beginning with just 30 minutes of your time to get started. And then, what is the primary action that you want your website visitors to take? Now, that's going to be different for every business. You might want them to request a quote, sign up for an initial consultation, buy a certain product, sign up for a free resource, or any other number of things. What is the number one thing you want them to do? And that's going to be your primary call to action. And you want to plan your website around helping your visitors take that action. So once you know who your ideal customer is and how you're going to explain the benefits of your business to them, you can write a description of your business with that audience in mind. You should also outline all of your products and services and write descriptions for them. And while you're writing those descriptions, think about how the product or service really benefits your ideal customer. Okay, so now we have our feature details outlined. We've defined our business. We know who our customer is, and we know what action we want them to take. So now it's time to kind of start taking an inventory of the assets that you have available. So in this section, think through any graphics you have available, along with any text that you might already be using or plan to use to market your business, and organize all of that in one place, like a Google Drive or Dropbox folder where it's easy to access. If you work with someone else, it's incredibly helpful to have this all in one place in a easy to share drive like Google Drive or Dropbox, because you can just send them the link and then they can access all those assets to build your website. And if you're building your own, it's just nice to have all of those assets in one place. So, does your business have a tagline or any other marketing language that you're going to use? Do you have visuals that you can use on the website? A logo is pretty essential. The rest of the items, don't look at this list again and think like, oh, I got to have all of this before I can create a website. It's just to get an idea of what you do have available, right? So headshots, product photos, maybe you have a video available or any other digital assets. So you want to start compiling all of this so it's easy to access when you start putting your website together. And so you can kind of think about where you're going to put those things as you're thinking through the various pages of your website. It's also a good idea to note any color and font preferences you want to use for your brand. If someone else is building your website and you've identified fonts and colors for your brand, this will help them, stay within your brand guidelines. Okay, so then the last step in planning your website is the largest step, and that's your website content. So when we talk about the content, it's more than just the words that are going to go on the pages. It really starts with prioritizing the information your website needs, clearly communicating with your audience. So it includes how the content is going to be organized on the website, what type of content you need, where you're going to place specific images or video that you might have, etc. And then, yes, it does also include the text that will be on each page. So to start, it can be helpful to think about your content in a flowchart, or what we would call a sitemap. So you're going to start with your home page, and then most every website is also going to need an about page and a contact page. But the other menu items are completely reliant on your business. So if you go back to thinking about your audience and their needs, what type of information do they need to be able to quickly find on your website? So that can be a good way to prioritize what's going to go in the menu. So some kind of generic headings for the menu would be services, shop if you're doing e-commerce, maybe pricing, FAQs. But you can also get more specific. So like if I were a service provider, like an accountant, I might have a menu item for tax preparation and another item for bookkeeping services. If I were an e-commerce company that sells apparel, I might include my product categories in the menu. So I might have tops, bottoms, shoes, accessories, right? So once you've created an outline for your content, you can start planning the content and writing your copy. And a good place to begin is your homepage. So what is the most important thing that your website visitors need to see when they hit your website? So this is a good place to look back at your ideal customer, your key benefit statement, and your call to action. So I like to start with a headline that relates to the key benefit statement that I've come up with, maybe include some support text if I need to expand on that a little bit, and then include the call to action. So just looking at a few examples, this is Brit Smart Security's homepage. This is what you would see before you start scrolling on the homepage. And they say, let us keep your family secure and connected. And then they have a little bit of support text there that says smart security and home installation in Columbus and Medina, Ohio. And then they have their contact us as their call to action. So right away, this website is communicating the key benefit, right, of keeping your family secure and connected. And Brit is communicating with their ideal customer, not only with that headline that they've wrote, but with the images that they're choosing for the website as well, right? You get an instant sense of who they're talking to through their website. This is another one from Freedom Tax. And I really like their headline because I think it's pretty compelling. It says, get the maximum refund owed to you. And they have a nice family photo here. Again, it appears they're trying to appeal to parents. And they let the website visitor know that after one meeting, they'll know the amount of their refund and that Freedom Tax will file it for them. So they make it, sound really nice and easy. And then they have a call to action to book your appointment right from the website. So I feel like they're doing a pretty good job appealing to the needs of their ideal customer. And, they make themselves sound like a good place to go get your tax preparation done. And then this is another one. This is a company called Go Unite, which is a member-based event organization. So right towards the top, she has completely planned events. And then the support copy says, we bring people together who like to get out, try something new, meet new people, and really experience all Billings has to offer. And then she's got a fun graphic with her call to action that says, become a member. So visitors understand, what Go Unite has to offer early on in browsing the site. And then what I like about this example is that the rest of the homepage kind of helps support what was stated above. So you scroll down a little bit and you see the fun events that are coming up. Then you scroll down some more and you see photos of members having fun with one another. And then they have a nice how it works section that walks you through exactly how the membership works. So everything on this homepage just kind of really helps support communicating with that ideal customer, reiterating the key benefits, and making it easy to take that primary call to action. Okay, so now that we've considered what should go on the homepage, let's dig in a little bit on the rest of the website. So your about page. Your about page should include your business's background and history. It should describe your experience and expertise. This is a section where you want to build trust with your audience by showcasing you or your company's qualifications. You could include any awards, accreditations, associations, provide information about your team if you have one. So even if your business is kind of new, if you have any background experience that brought you to, starting this business, you can add that information here. And then, once you've been in business for a number of months or years, you can update this section to add more history. The contact page, we want to make it easy for customers to contact you. So every website should have a contact page, and you want to include a contact form, of course, but I would encourage you to also include a phone number and a public email address. I don't know about the rest of you, but I filled out many contact forms where I've never received a response. And I'm not going to work too hard to get in touch after that, right? So I'm just going to move on to another business who's more accessible and available to address my questions. So especially when your business is new, I think it's important to appear accessible to people who want to work with you. And you want to capture every opportunity that you have to gain a new client or a new customer. So you don't want to appear unavailable by only having a contact form there. Additional contact information kind of helps assure people that you're a real person behind a real business, that they're going to be able to get help when they need it. I know that a lot of us hesitate to do this because we don't want the spam that could come to the email or the spam calls that could come to our phone. But I think that the benefits outweigh the risks when it comes to, customer acquisition and things like that. So that would be my recommendation. You can get, a online number that's not your cell number, for example, that can ring through to your primary phone, but not put your public phone number or your private phone number up. You can also include your business address, your phone number, your hours here. You want to include this information on your contact page, but you may also want to list it on your homepage or in your website's header or footer, especially if you have a physical location that your customers visit. So like if you're a restaurant, a salon, a store, a medical office, anything like that, I would put that location and hours information on your homepage for sure, because a lot of times people are looking for that info, where are you located and what are your hours. Okay, so we've covered the homepage, about page, and contact page. The other pages, of course, are going to be completely dependent on your specific business and the information that, your website needs to include on it for your industry and for your potential customers. So you'd want to go back to your sitemap, and then for each page that you've outlined in your sitemap, develop the content, make notes for any images, videos, or other assets that should appear on that page. And then while you're going through this, just remember to communicate with your ideal customer at all times. So you want to continue to reiterate the benefits of your products and services and help move your audience closer to taking the primary call to action. So like if you're writing out your services, don't just write the boring basics of what's included in the service. Make sure you're telling the reader what the benefit is going to be of that service to them. Testimonials. So it's also a good idea to start collecting testimonials if you have them available. If your business is new, you might not have any customers or clients to reach out to for testimonials yet, and that's okay. But I do want you to take a note that, as you're able to, you should start collecting these testimonials and add them to your website when they are available. But testimonials can help, again, build more trust with your website audience. They can help describe the benefits of your products and services from the perspective of your existing customers. You can include them on your homepage and throughout the rest of your website. I like to put them, on pages where someone is likely considering my product or service. So if I had a services page, I'd probably, list out the services and then include a testimonial from someone who used the service and was happy with it. Okay, so once we get through all of that, you've successfully planned out your website. I know it's a lot to think through, but hopefully that framework has helped simplify the process for you. It looks like we have a few maybe questions. I do have another section on platforms and providers, but I'm happy to answer some questions at this time. Okay, so first one, it says, if you're an artist, would you add a testimonial to a specific piece of art? Potentially. So if you have other customers who've purchased your art, I could see having testimonials on all of maybe it's just rotating testimonials from all of those customers on your product pages for your art. Just people expressing what great quality the artwork was, how much they enjoyed having the artwork in their home or business or wherever they have it displayed. Yes, I think that would be a good thing to do if you're able to collect those. Okay, and then I'm going to check the chat here real quick. It looks like most of these are procedural questions. Okay, so we'll move on to the next section. Choosing a platform or provider. So I've compiled a few questions to consider. There's no correct answer to these questions. These are here for you so that you can look at the different options that you're considering for building your website. So if you're looking at different platforms to build it yourself, or you're considering working with a service provider, these are all relevant to either one of those. And you just have to be comfortable with the answer to the question for, your own preferences and the needs of your business. So will it grow and adapt with your business? We've talked about the fact that your business is going to grow and change. Your website will need to grow and change with it. Do you feel like the option you're considering is going to give you that future flexibility? Are you going to be able to add on and adapt your website over time? Do I want to spend my time or my money, and what is the value? So if you go the do-it-yourself route, you're going to be investing more of your time. Do you have the time? Is it the best use of your time to be building your own website? And then if you go the other route, having someone build it for you, it might cost more money, but it will save you your time. I can tell you from experience, when I was running Billings 365, it took me too long to realize that my time was best spent when I was out talking to potential advertisers, or doing things that made my existing advertisers happy, or doing things that grew my audience so that businesses would want to advertise with me. And the time that I spent administering my own website or doing my own accounting or anything like that was not time that actually grew my business. So that is a consideration to make when you go down the path of building your own website, or really taking on any of the do-it-yourself tasks within your business. Do the platform's features match your requirements? Now you've made a plan, you understand what features your website needs. So as you're looking at the different platforms, you can determine if they adequately meet those requirements. Are hosting and SSL and other essentials included? Your website is a compilation of digital files. It has to be stored somewhere so that it can be accessed online. So if you are using anything where you're paying a monthly or annual subscription, so a website builder, or a platform that is charging a monthly or annual subscription, most often your hosting is going to be included in that subscription. If you build your own website, or have someone build your website on a content management system like WordPress content management system, Drupal or Joomla, those are websites that have to be uploaded once they've been done being designed and coded and all of that. Those have to be uploaded onto a host so that they can be accessed. And the person who builds your website for you may set up that hosting for you. They may have the option, a lot of them do, manage hosting for their clients. So basically they have a hosting account and you pay them for the hosting, and they manage all of that for you. But in some cases, like if you hire a freelancer especially, they might hand the website over to you and you'll have to set up your own hosting. An SSL is a security certificate on your domain, and it basically helps protect your website visitors' information as they're browsing your website, and if they're going to be entering their information on any forms or making payments or anything like that. They're basically required by Google these days. A lot of times you'll hit a website that doesn't have one and you'll get a warning like, hey, this website is not secure. Are you sure you want to proceed? You don't want that to happen with your website. So you do want to have an SSL on it. And again, a lot of subscription-based products will include that SSL. And if it's not included, You can register the SSL wherever you register your domain. I would recommend registering your domain. Don't sign up for an SSL right away. Figure out, if it's going to be provided wherever you're building or having your website built, before, you purchase that unnecessarily. Do you have access to make edits on your own? Of course, if you build your own website, you have access to make edits on your own. If you have someone build your website for you, this can vary. So like very high-end agencies sometimes require all changes to go through the agency. And for a lot of business owners, they're happy with that. Like they don't have someone in-house to manage the website, and they're happy to send all the changes through the agency and pay a retainer or an hourly fee or whatever the case may be. Others may give you partial access. So you might have access to add blog posts or change text or add new products and things like that. But they'll lock you out of like the design files or the ability to add plugins because they don't want you to be able to do anything that might break the website. And then some may give you 100% full access, and say, this is yours, do with it what you want. But then, if you break something, you'll have to go back to them to fix it potentially. So lots of different scenarios there. And it just, make sure you're comfortable with how it's handled, wherever you decide to build your website or have it built. What is the cost of future change requests? So if you're building your own website, you're investing your future time in managing, updating the website, right? If someone builds it for you, how do they handle changes in the future? So if something takes them 15 minutes, if you need their help with something and it takes them 15 minutes, do they charge you for the full hour? What is their turnaround time on those changes if you need their help in the future? How is support handled, and is there a cost? So if you're looking at subscription-based products, they're going to have different support levels in their different pricing tiers. So, one might have email only support and 48 turnaround on support requests. You feel like you have 48 hours to wait if you need help with your website. If someone's built your website for you, what is their level of ongoing support? Are you paying them, for hosting? Does that include some support with it? If you need their assistance in the future, how do they handle that? Is there an hourly fee? If your website gets hacked, like who is responsible for making sure it doesn't get hacked or securing it? What's the cost going to be if you need them to unhack it, whatever? How do they handle those things? And then what happens if you want to switch? So this is a pretty big important one because there can be all kinds of reasons you want to change platforms or providers in the future. There might be a feature on a new platform that you feel would really benefit your business. You might just be dissatisfied with where you're at now. You might decide that you built your website first on your own and now you want to have your business has grown and you want to have someone build a website for you. So there can be all kinds of reasons you want to move your website. Now, whenever you're switching between platforms, so if you're moving from Squarespace to Wix or Wix to WordPress, WordPress to CardSetter, CardSetter to Shopify, whatever, whenever you're switching platforms, the design has to be reconfigured on the website to work within the platform that you're moving to, because all of these platforms have their own design systems, like basically their own base code of how the design is handled on the website. So you can't just take a Squarespace website and move it over to WordPress in its entirety and have it work exactly the same. But the important thing here is that you want to know that you can take your content with you. So, like at CardSetter, if somebody cancels with us, we do a full export of all their content. They can take that with them and move it to whatever platform they want. So all the images and text come with them and they can move it and set it up on a new platform. Other platforms have different policies around this. There are some out there that don't provide an export option. You can't take anything with you. Some let you take some content, but not all of the content. And the thing is, if you've invested a bunch of time writing, hundreds of blog posts or adding hundreds of products to your website, you don't want to have to manually move that content if you switch platforms. So I think it's important that you can take your content with you when you switch. Okay, so when you're evaluating the many options on where to start your website, first you have to make sure that the platform has the features you need as you've outlined in your plan. Then you have to begin thinking about what you want to spend, because no matter what, there's a cost, and it is in the form of either your time or your money. If you go down the do-it-yourself platform like Squarespace or Wix, the primary benefit is the upfront cost savings. The downside is that they will cost you more time. And then just depending on your technical skill level, you may or may not end up with a website that works or looks quite right. On the other side of the spectrum, you can hire an agency or freelancer to build your website for you. WordPress is still kind of the big behemoth platform in this area, but there are people available to create your Wix or Squarespace or Shopify website these days as well. The benefit here is that someone's going to take care of all of the technical aspects for you. They're going to do the design, make sure it looks great. They're going to save you a bunch of time. And professionals are going to bring their expertise to the table as well, right? They've built many websites, so they're going to have some good strategies to bring to the table. They're going to know, how the content would best be laid out, where that call to action should appear, what third-party integration might help you do the thing that you want your website to do. The downside is that this tends to have a higher upfront cost than the do-it-yourself platforms, and sometimes you can run into additional expenses later when you want to, grow and change and adapt your website in the future. And then my company and some others are starting to fall kind of in the middle. So we have an easy to use platform so our customers can make changes to their website when they want, but to create their websites, all our customers have to do is answer a few questions. And so we aim to bridge the gap between that do-it-yourself and done-for-you option. And so right now we're operating as a service where we have our platform and we create the websites based on the answers to the questions. We are working on our own kind of do-it-yourself builder that would use a similar process. So rather than starting with a template, you would start your website by answering questions, and then the website would come together based on your answers. So we're kind of trying to bridge that gap, and there's others in that hybrid space as well for you to consider. So with that, I will open it up to additional questions.
I don't see any questions. I think you've covered everything so well.
Okay.
So there was one question that I saw, maybe it was in the chat, asking if they, in order to download the planner, if they have to give you their email address.
Yes, in order to deliver the planner, we need the email address. So
okay. Is there a charge for upkeep of this site? I think that, yeah. Do you want to answer that?
So as far as Card Setter goes, as far as our design service goes, we are a subscription based model similar to the do-it-yourself options. And then with our monthly subscription, we include upkeep of the website as well as a number of done for you changes. So you have kind of that hybrid approach of being able to edit your own website, but you always have professional help at your side. What is the average cost for a website planner? There's no cost to use our website planning workbook. I'm not sure if there are professionals out there who offer to do a website plan. I would imagine you could probably find copywriters who offer that service on places like Upwork or Fiverr, but I don't know what the cost would be.
Okay, so I guess that we've covered the questions. So thank you so much, Jessica. This has been excellent, very informative, and we've certainly gotten some positive comments, and really appreciate your insight and expertise. And for those of you who have attended, I hope you find it very useful in planning your websites. And we appreciate your taking your time out of your busy day to join us for this session. And hopefully we will see you again. So enjoy the rest of your day. And